Hi everyone, Paul Morbid here, Morbid Team Entertainment and Bolex Repair Philippines. This video is essentially for a recent question that was asked by a viewer. And they have a Bolex D8L, or it could have been D8 from what I'm understanding in the video. At any rate, they had a situation with the camera just stopping and the motor no longer working, or the camera no longer working itself. So the only way to show you this is just to have the camera dismantled, open it up. Now I'd also suggest that it needs a new CLA, your camera, if you're having this type of issue, and you need to send it to a professional technician. If you decide to take the plunge to go inside of here and dismantle the camera, first do fully unwind the motor. If you don't, and you remove this plate right here after the 4 screws, you simply lift it up and slide it off to the side here. This motor right here will instantly and fast unwind to a stop and snap to a stop, becoming broken. Bolex never intended for these motors to be repaired. They are metal pressed together. Okay, the only option you'll have to do then is to buy another junk D8L or D8, whatever it is, and swap out the motor, this motor, for a good working one. Okay, so once you got the plate off, you can take this out. This is the worm gear to the counter here. Alright, it just simply drives the film counter. You can do this by just putting the gear in if you want to test it by hand, in case one day your counter gets stuck, but that's rare. And you can just spin this along with your hand, is what you can do once I get it in there properly. And it will turn. There you go. You see it turning, right? There it goes, right there, just a turning. Get that up for you. You see it move. The minute you take the gear out, just like you're opening the door, it's going to go back to 0. Okay? So, remove that, and this is the governor, which just fell out my hands. No big deal, you just slide it right back in there. Okay, so you fully wound down the motor, that type of a thing, and you're putting this off to the side. This part really is of no issue. The person who contacted me was wondering about the door lock mechanism. Take a good look. This is how the door lock goes on properly. Alright, and this is how it turns. The viewer was also talking about the screw is loose. Okay, now if that screw is loose, it could be stripped or anything. Sometimes you're buying these cameras offline, people take different parts from cameras and put them together. Alright, and they don't put the screw back in properly. At any rate, this is how the door lock goes on correctly. And if your screw is loose, just put it back on there, and you want to put some Loctite on it. Thread locker, you can get it from any hardware store. Just apply that, just a drop of that on there, and that will correct that problem. Alright, so as you can see, this is how it rotates, the door lock. It should not be easy. It should be a little firm. So what you do is just push it in, push the door lock in, and turn it. There are 2 little white dots here for open, and then you open it up. You also have an O for open, a little arrow up here, open, down, and then up here an F, just open it up, just like that, and it's open. To close the door, push it in and turn it, and it will lock. It's not going to lock right now because I have the camera dismantled. Alright, so just put a drop of that on there. Now, with this out of sight and out of mind, the viewer also asks about the supply. Now here's the supply reel. The supply reel and the take-up right here should move freely, just like that. Okay? Upon that your supply reel doesn't move, you can see the supply is simply metal pressed in there. It could be rusted. There's some rust right there. It could be rusted and corroded up inside of here. I wouldn't dismantle this unless you know what you're doing, because like I always say, if you it's best to send your camera to a service technician, and any mistakes you make upon your camera and or your person are all on you if you decide to do the work on it and dismantle it. Now, if this supply right here will not turn, then it means it is rusted and corroded. Okay? So how can you correct that? It needs to turn just like that. The take-up will move freely. The take-up has a silver washer, then a pad, like a leatherette, hard leatherette pad, and then a bent crescent washer. Okay? So you don't want to get any oil on here. If you do that, it's going to screw up that leather pad. All right? You have to also do a lot of maintenance on these cameras. You see how the rust is right here? This is surface rust. A lot of it can be removed, as I said before, with a pencil eraser. Okay? As you can see, some of that coming off there. The other stuff you have to use metal polish to get it off. Okay? You constantly have to, perform maintenance on these cameras. For lubrication inside your cameras, you can either use graphite grease, and it looks like this, as I have explained before. All right, and or weapons oil. Stuff works really good. If it works good on weapons, then it's going to do great on your camera. Do not use Singer or any type of machine oil. It'll only last about 4 to 7 days. Okay, so we're back to these spindles right here. This one's moving freely on the take-up. Here's the supply. All right. You're squeaking a little bit. Well, if yours is stuck and won't move at all, what you do is this. You can add a little bit of weapons oil right here. Okay? Just a touch. You don't want it leaking through the camera and getting anything on this leatherette pad. It's a hard leatherette pad. You don't want to douse any stuff. You don't want to pour any of this lubricant inside of there. That can be dangerous, because inside of here, a gear such as this does not need any lubrication. Okay? Alright, so back to this. So what do you do if this spindle here, the supply, is tight? Well, what you do is this. I always use a leather strap. Well, no, not leather strap, excuse me, a rubber strap. Okay? I double it up, triple it up rather, and you can put it around the spindle, just like this. Then I take a pair of pliers, put on here, and I move it around until it starts moving itself. Okay? That's what I do. Just grasp it until it starts moving. Eventually it will. You probably first want to put the weapons oil on there and let it sit about 45 minutes to an hour. This rubber strap, you probably get it in some plumbing stores. That's where I get mine. And it will be longer than this. This stuff is really valuable in working out screws that are stuck and stuff like that, generally. Okay, so there you have it, essentially. This one's moving, and it should. The viewer expressed in the comment that his was tight. Either one of these that I can recall. They should not be tight. Both should be spinning freely. Okay? Just like that. Okay? And that is essentially it. There you are. So again, that's it right there. Here's the film plate, and both should be spinning. Okay, both take up and supply should be moving, just like that. Again, here, with a take up, it's, you know, you have that little, that gear right there. We can get some clarity on that for you. Although I've shown you this before. There you are, okay? Here it's just metal pressed in here, again, all right? But both should turn freely, just like that. That needs some oil. And that's it, okay? And also, this plate should fit level and snugly in here as well, and flat when you put it back in. Okay, some people will take these things apart on an online market just to sell them, and of course use the parts and stuff like that. All right, from different cameras. Generally, sometimes the issue is not the motor. Everyone always expects the motor. A lot of times it's this governor right here, and I've got videos on how to dismantle this and clean it. This governor works your speed, FPS, frames per second, and it slides across right here, this worm gear, due to whatever frame per second that you put on there, anywhere from 18 to 24, that type of thing, or whatever speed. And it has to be smooth with no rust. You can put some graphite grease or weapons oil on there and you're good to go. It needs to be completely clean. Again, I've got videos on that. All right? If this plate is not seated completely, if the worm gear is not put in properly, okay, anything like that, these spindles right here, the two silver ones, will let you know. Because right here, you have these two circles, these two indentions inside the camera door. And they have to be flat right on top of those spindles right there, pretty much, okay? If you've got any type of out of alignment with these cameras, the door is not going to close properly. So if you have that issue, that's what that is. And just remember to put some Loctite on that screw if you're having the same type of issue. Okay? And that pretty much does it. These cameras are made of about 4 or 5 different types of metals. All right? And they're going to rust. They're going to corrode. It is best if you learn how to work on your own cameras inside of here. And remember to wind down that motor fully. You break this camera, you break that motor, you know, you got a problem. You need another new motor from the same model. All right? Do contact me at the social media outlets provided on the screen. And remember, as always, do subscribe. Until next time, later.